Paul, Andy, you fishing? Fishing for men and women. That's what he said. Let's go fishing for men.
Dating agents. Okay.
Alright, so sort of in a broad sense talked about the Constitution, and without going into too much detail, but we have talked about a very, very important question to ask if you are in court and you want to use that, is whether it's recognised. There's another side. I see the law that I'm interested in has two wings. There's this stuff that I've been doing with this guy Mark and Daniel, and it's the purest stuff. It's the simplest stuff. The questioning of presumptions of belief, because this fine here is a belief about lots of things with a whole bunch of names. So you've got a symbol here. It says Department of Transport. These are titles. And then Infringements Act 2006. So it's kind of creating this whole, and you know, here's the box that's going to hem you in. That's the box that puts you in there. And here's Daniel. His esteemed guest has arrived. And this is what I'm calling the other wing of the bird. Now, I thought questioning the presumption of an offence. The cop says, "Do you realise you were going over the speed limit?" And I'd say, "Was I?" And, yeah, blah blah blah. Well, what do you believe about that? You know? Oh, well, it's against the law. Did someone tell you that? You know, very, very basic things. Did someone tell you that? Someone did tell him that, or her. So then it comes out of their mouth and they have to evidence everything. Well, it becomes evident that how you play it out, depending on how you play it out, everyone's got their own style. They're going to realise that you're just going to ask them questions, and that they're going to have to prove everything. So I wouldn't, in this case, I don't worry about fines. I'm not afraid of the paperwork because they're not mine. You know, I haven't created this. It's not a deal that I've made. I have nothing to do with the creation of the things on this. But I've been sent, I'll be going to court soon. I'll be going to court soon because I wanted to enter court, and it's for failure to vote. And they sent out this paperwork, this whole folder. It would intimidate any person that didn't know much. I was just like, wow. And it's got all this paperwork just based on that. So the thing I want to say is it's very accusatory, for starters. So this is why I have questions. You know, if it was a friendly letter, just speaking to me in a friendly manner, you know, I wouldn't feel this way about it. But, you know, it's throwing all these, you know, offence date, you know, all these beliefs, failing to produce evidence of a concession. Well, who believes that I require that to travel? And then that opens up. You know, are you Thomas Mackenzie? Well, if I said yes, would I be testifying against myself? What do you mean by you? When I say, what do you mean by you? It's like, well, where are you coming from? Where are you coming from with that? So, kind of, you know, these are sort of primary school questions. What do you believe about that? Did someone tell you that? And it's sort of testing them. Where are you coming from, brother? How can I help? Or are you to help? Danny put me back onto a show I used to watch sometimes as a kid on, during the day or whatever, Daniel Boone. And Daniel Boone's gold. Like, everyone should watch a little bit of Daniel Boone, and there's, because he just says these things that are very relevant. And this guy sort of said, "Do you want the coffee?" And he says that, well, that depends on whether you're coming as a friend or a betrayer. As a betrayer. And I think that's a really good question to ask someone. Are you Thomas Mackenzie? Well, that depends if you're asking me as a friend or as a betrayer. See how someone responds to that, a police officer or a judge. Because it's a very basic question. Those sorts of questions, as uncommon as they are, or unconventional as they may be, they go back to childhood films, they go back to movies, they go back to things where everyone gets taught in our culture. So they'll know what they mean. They won't miss. There's nothing confusing about something like that. But when you sort of maybe say, well, what do you believe about that? They might be baffled. And yeah. But that's the nature of it. It's like one can't even see reality anymore.
So have you asked that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what kind of answer do you get?
Oh, they usually don't really process it.
Yeah.
And then, I've gotten, well, can you afford a fine? And one thing is, I use is, what's, or how is that relevant? How is that relevant, or is a really good one. Because they'll say a whole bunch of things. Danny you were telling me today, asking, are you an Australian citizen, when they interrogate all these questions. Well, how's that relevant? It's like saying, what colour pants are you wearing, in a way. But at a different level, an official level. So how's that relevant? And he said, well, because you're going to get one. And I'm like, it's none of my business. If you want to write out a phone, that's fine. That's yours. It's for you to do. I'm not going to get in your way, but it's not mine. And the coppers and like the transit police and that, they don't know what to do. Like this guy, like he said, you're off with the ferries. And I was sitting there, I said, there's no ferries around here, mate. I'm just a guy sitting at a train station. I'm just here to help. If anyone needs help, I'll be the first one there. And so he didn't know what to make of me, because I wasn't being nasty. I wasn't giving him cheek. I was simply baffling him.
So what did he pull you up for?
I hadn't touched on. I walked into the station.
So he's one of those, what do you call them?
PSOs. Yeah, one of these PSOs. And in the end, he ended up saying, well, if you don't blah, 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 I can't remember exactly what it was, you'll get arrested. And I said, for what? He said, for not giving your name and address. And I said, is that what you want? You should have just asked, mate. The name is Thomas Mackenzie and the address is thing. Because I don't mind giving that. It's whatever they want to do with that. And then we had quite a pleasant, he sort of introduced himself and I introduced, we sort of said hello, there were two of them, and then I went on the train and I could see he was just like, he was processing it. And it was cool, because he would have thought about that probably somewhat, it would have lingered all night. And then maybe even the next day he would have been thinking about it. And I think that's what this questioning of the presumption's about. It's not about dissolving reality into a relative nothing. It's about showing people, hey, where are you coming from with your beliefs? And what are you doing with this stuff? I'm just here to help. do you know, you know, he said, it's not free. And I said, isn't it? I said, is it, could it all be free? Maybe it was all free in the first place. You know, so questioning it, it's like, you know, pay who? Because it's all just this clusterfuck of money and fiction and that. And there's more money in the world. I mean, you know, when it comes to, you know, doing one's bit for society, you know, it's like there is more money on this planet at the moment, you know, because of debt, than, you know, like, than, you know, Donald Duck could ever hope for.
I've been thinking about that of late. Sorry, if I can share a little bit, because I think it's really interesting. Because, you know, we all know that money is a fiction, that it's not backed by anything tangible, it's just, you know, your belief in the system, and that's it. But what it has proven is to just be a motivating factor, such that I think the world is more motivated now to produce and consume than it has ever in the whole history of man.
Absolutely.
You know, the organisation that we have, the fact you can get on a plane and be on the other side of the world in 24 hours is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, you know, if you actually look at it, we live in a world of wonders now.
Mm.
And this just shared belief in this thing called money is what's motivating. You know, it's a motivating factor in why we can get concerned, and they can say, can you afford a fine and all that kind of stuff. It's just, as you say, it's totally irrelevant. But you know, but it's interesting that from absolutely nothing, we can produce the wonders that we see around us every day.
Yeah.
Just because I think the motivation's not coming from a place of people doing what they really want to do.
Yeah, it's about
They're
how
doing
it's...
it just to
There's a lot of
earn
fear
money.
there.
But if people were motivated to create out of what they really wanted to create, I think we'd have a world of even greater wonders.
The magic's there.
The magic's there. I think that's the point.
But it's like the story, Hans Christian Andersen, the first part of his story, The Snow Queen. There's this mirror that this evil magician has. And he likes going around, reflecting it on all around the place and at people. And he loves going up into the sky and reflecting it at God. Because the mirror makes everything beautiful ugly, and everything ugly amplified. And then this mirror smashes, and into tiny, tiny pieces, they go everywhere and get into people, into their skin and into their eyes and that. And it's a metaphor for, you know, a wonderful metaphor for how the beauty of the world can be twisted, and how good things can be used in bad ways. It's not the thing itself. It's not money that's evil. It's
The intention.
It's the intention. It's where someone's coming from. And I would actually say it's the hidden motives more than the intention, because the intention can sometimes be good. But the person is so blind to their unconscious, they don't realise the harm that they're doing. So it's hidden motivations, which in psychology, a lot of people don't realise what their hidden motivations are. This is the creation of a bill. So what I object to is the willy-nilly way that a man in a uniform can just create a bill, a burden. Well, if he can work out where that money's going to come from, cool. But don't hand it to me and expect me to foot a bill that someone else created because they think I didn't offend. I'm happy to deal with this idea of maybe I've offended someone. Maybe. But usually when you ask, hey, have I offended you? They say, no. I was like, well, you know, you've got to be literal sometimes. So when I go into court, you know, it says the accused. I'll say to the judge, this is very accusatory, but I've not met the accuser. So I need to meet the accuser first. The judge won't want to do this You won't want to go along with this, but I'll say, Judge, if there is no accuser, how do I know what's going on? Because it says the accused, so there must be an accuser. Otherwise, there is no accusation. No one behind the accusation. And the judge can't be the accuser. He's not allowed. He's there to weigh up the two sides. And that's where I think the genius of this stuff is. It's just like basic laws of reason and reality. You know? An accuser, an accused, a claim, a claimant.
An offence, who's the offended? It's the company, isn't it?
How can you offend
A company.
a company?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's, you know, you can't even talk to a company. So it becomes, it's an absurdity. Yeah, it's the Emperor's New Clothes. That story by Hans Christian Andersen. Another brilliant one to read. You wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, what if this was going back to like being pulled over or pulled up or something. You said that you get arrested if you don't give your name. What if you don't give your name?
Well, you have the right to remain silent, but they tend to withhold you. And they get pretty full on if you don't give your name. Mm. And I think that's because they just want to know who everyone is for reasons of, you know, so-called safety and that. But, you know, you do have the right to remain silent, but then they have they've been told that they can withhold you until they think. So it's kind of better to just go along with that. So this is the name. And, you know, as far as this goes, so as a gentleman said today, you don't give it to them. Just so you can look at it, but I'm not giving it to you, because then they can use it.
Do you know how to write the all right? You know how you write all rights reserved on the top of your autograph?
I don't do that.
Oh, okay. So you don't know how that works?
Well, there's a few different things you can write there. Agent and...
Yeah, that's all stuff I don't tend to bother with, because it's just stuff I use. If like basically they'll say, you know, is this you? And I'm like, oh, does it look like me? Looks like a piece of plastic to me. You know, I'm going to be literal about it. Is that a photo of you?
It's a graven image.
Actually, it's funny.
Graven image?
When they ask
What
me,
image?
Graven?
they go, is this
Okay.
you? I said, if it is, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's basic logic.
What are you going, bro?
So if you don't give that card to them, you just let them look at it.
Yeah.
What if they try and take it from you? Do you just say, what would you say to that?
So you can look at it, like check it out, but I'm not handing it over to you. This is
Your property.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is a property I use. So because
And
if I give it to you, then then he's going to use it.
They may say it belongs to the property of Rick Rose or something like that.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine, you
Well,
can have it back then. Take it to them.
you know, I'll tell you know. I don't. If they want it, you know, if they want it, they can come get it.
Well, the only reason you're carrying it is because if you left it around, that would be littering.
I paid money to use this. So I paid money to use this. The copper hasn't. So that's where trespass is again. You know, it's like, look, mate. You know, I've paid to use this. You know.
If you want to use it, then you need to deposit $1,000 into his
right,
bank
yeah.
account.
Make a contract.
Yeah, make an offer.
Conditional contract.
Sorry guys, got an important question. What are the conditions that you agree to when you agree to pay money to use that item which belongs to Big Rose?
I have no idea. I don't even care. Because, you know, as far as contracts and that sort of go, like an agreement needs to be a meeting of the minds. So, you know, they can write all they want, but, you know, in the end, an agreement can get broken very quickly, and we see that in business with partnerships a lot. As soon as things fall apart, it all starts to have to be sorted out. So, because we can change our mind. This idea that you signed something and then you start, It's like, no. It's like I just did that to, you know, to help use the thing. That's all. So it's like what you're saying. I'll, you know, I mean, you know, this is what I mean by that, you know. And this is what I'm happy to agree to. And basically the judges are just there to sort it out. You know, they sort out the mess if the two people can't sort it out, or the two parties. But I'm actually thinking, and I'll raise this before we wrap up in 15 minutes or so. There's been a notion of having a Monday night kind of a schooling thing where people can get into their groups and work on things. And I'm actually feeling in tandem with this Friday that needs to happen, because there's a lot of this kind of thing I'd like to be talking about to people that want to look into it. You're doing sort of 5G stuff, and that can be done here. You know, Paulie's doing something that some people might be interested in, and I'm just feeling that an extra sort of schooling space might be useful. A constitutional.
Yeah, totally. Because I want to learn about the different
Yeah.
procedures. Like, because I've heard about the different people have been told throwing all these different words, the different procedures for like processing fines, and I want to learn about just one of them and learn how to do it thoroughly, and then look at another one and do it thoroughly.
Because you and I haven't seen you here, and
Yeah.
my idea of this forum was I would be exploring this stuff that I've been, you know, exploring with Danny and his brother, you know, for several years, just around, you know, cafe tables and stuff. And it's not really, it's not working. This isn't the space for it. This is a space for bringing various things together and people talking about, you know, their own little point of view on things or what they have to offer. So, you know, what do you think about that, George?
Well, there's 3 Fridays till Christmas, and your scheduled next one's 13th of December.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been consistently going with all the Fridays lately, and I don't have anything specific for next Friday and the 20th.
Well, I think the idea was it would be a Monday evening. People would, just for however long they want.
Well, that has been raised, and there's usually a class in here on Monday evening, right? But there is other space.
You have a yoga class here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be appropriate if everyone's ranting on about law and chit-chatting away while you got.
That could be an issue, yeah.
What about Tuesday?
But we've got other rooms as well.
What about Tuesday?
Monday's we're coming over the weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, Monday's a bit sensitive.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, or even Wednesday, the room's being used at night.
All right.
And
So why don't you trial it on the next...
Sorry?
Why don't you trial it on those spare Fridays that you're not...
well, we could, but you know, if it's not a large group, other days could work. You know, it is quite a large space out there, but we need to be mindful of what's going on in here.
The other thing is if it's a community group, it's like a very small fee for the library room at night, and then you get to lock it yourself. So I could get the use of the library, Belgrave Library, and that's very much a classroom space.
Yeah, I do recall several years ago when you first put out your idea on Facebook and at the Belgrave Library. I thought this sounds interesting, and so I went along, and it was just you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of told me, there, you know, perhaps there's something there that we can work with. You know, maybe we're going to be working together, and so I've nurtured that. And you know, there's many related things that have come out of it, and we're putting as much as we can online. I think the last session we didn't put online because everybody's face was in it, right? And I thought, no, probably not a good idea. But this evening's been very powerful, some of the concepts, and yeah, whatever people want to do, I'm happy to nurture it because I'm in the thick of these sort of issues.
Yeah, I just think if you've got a lot going on here, I might use the library, especially because it's a good space for it. And look, I don't mind if it's just one person. For me, teaching is
I'm
myself.
totally up for it because I want to learn the specifics because I've heard a lot of different viewpoints and it gets a bit overwhelming, so I want to learn some specific methods and really get into it.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to help you with that
Yeah.
and impart everything I can.
So Thomas, can I just say the difference between this and the new thing is that it'll be putting it into practical usage?
Yeah, groups working on, and
Yeah.
I'll be sort of doing this and constitution stuff. So it's more kind of getting your head into it.
That sounds good.
People need to bring their pads and pens and.
And the Fridays will still go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can start doing it like, is this going to be a thing for next year? You're going to start doing it like soon?
Probably need to be next year.
Yeah.
But if you want some help just getting your foot in the door,
Yeah.
I meet up with people sometime. I have with Marina and just kind of give you a few.
Yeah.
Because it's not complex.
Yeah.
You know, but it is. You have to go back to prep.
Yeah.
And then you work your way
Yeah.
to grade 6. Because the concept, people struggle with simple concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been so filled with it couldn't be that simple. And there's a documentary I got told about today, which I've seen some of before, but I'm ready to watch this doco again. And it's just called Straw Man, The Nature of the Cage.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great doco.
Yeah, which I played years ago.
Yeah. You might play it again sometime.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants, we've got quite a big collection, and I can replay any of those videos.
I think doing a screening of this would be good before maybe next year.
John Harris is in it, and after that I saw a rest in peace note for him. Like, well, isn't that just typical? Government knocks him off because he knows too much.
So this is good because you just get all these like guys that are a bit like Daryl or Danny that just are really good at their thing, or like yourself a bit, and they just talk about it, and you just sort of sit. It just kind of knocks it in. It's not kind of a lightning. I don't find it uplifting necessarily, this stuff, but I find the spiritual side uplifting and the practical side of sometimes uplifting, as you've sort of talked about from your experience. But some of this stuff, it's just stuff you watch and you take it in your process. And I was going to sort of say, it's about sinking it into the brain, because the brain's the matrix, with all its neurons. So I like the way Daniel puts it, Armageddon's in between the ears. And it will manifest itself out in the world if people don't find peace and learn to pull away from this world of this conflict and deal with the challenges in a different way, like this guy did. They dealt with the violence in a way that it just struggled to deal with because it was non-violent. And he was saying all these wonderful things, he's famous for now. But there's a video called I Pet Goat. I'll bring it up. We can all have a little look at this, because someone told me a perspective on this that I'd never thought of, and it's changed my way. I wanted to talk to you about some things regarding climate change and that. that little Facebook thing with that woman Jules and that, I ended up doing quite a lot of research into the New World Order and that, and I found some interesting things, and there's two sides of it. So you've got the Trump side, and then you've got this New World Order side. And the New World Order side is not all evil, but it has some bad stuff in it. And what they're concerned about is the environment, and they may be encouraging that through this idea of climate change. It's a bunch of scientists and intellectuals and ex-politicians and that, hundreds of them, who are all worried, you know, they're all a bit in that sphere, but, you know, so-called elites. And unlike your Trumps and stuff and your rednecks and that, they're worried, like we are worried about the planet. And their way of dealing.
Do you know what a redneck is? Here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Do you know what a redneck is?
No. Well, yes, I think so, but...
Well, you think that people had been out in the sun too long. That's not right. The rednecks were miners. And they worked for the corporation, and they stood up against the corporation. And the corporation, I can't remember the corporation, but they came in with something like 20,000 soldiers to put down this this rebellion against the corporation. And to identify the miners, they all wore red bandanas, and they were the rednecks.
Ah, so it's got a noble history.
It has a noble history.
But it's been used...
Yeah. So anyway, but Trump, I don't know if he's good or bad, right?
He's not,
I'm not defending
he's not
him.
good, but what's going on?
It's as if the elite or the so-called elites are not like pitting everyone against each other. It's if they don't have factions, haven't been over 1,000 years. It's all a massive game, and even people like Assange is even like, you know.
The thing about the New World Order is it's a fantasy. It cannot work. And I saw what they want to do. They've got things that you can check out that are kind of like manifestos of what they want to achieve. And look, it's some of the same things that a bunch of hippies, hang on a sec, hippies want as well. World peace, you know, cooperation between nations. But their idea of how that's going to happen is unrealistic.
But they don't want peace. They're just selling us peace because we're a bunch
They
of
want
others.
peace through, but this is their issue. They want peace.
They just want to sell the Muppets. Who's us, the Muppet
Well,
slaves?
this
idea. We're so stupid. We're going to go.
This is where you have to be careful. You know, like they might think that we don't want peace.
But they clearly don't want peace.
Who's they?
I think the way that they understand peace, being bureaucrats and people at that level, is they see it all through law and order and control, and they probably, like, you can't see the reality of humanity from that perspective, you know. Women, children, I mean, anyone who's got an infant knows that, you know, life is pretty moment to moment and wild, so how are you going to hope in hell of controlling everyone? It has to be a spiritual affair. And even that is about accepting as much as we can and kind of balancing things. So what I realised is the New World Order's, you know, I don't think it's...
What do you mean by the New World Order?
It's...
What do you mean?
The New World Order...
In a nutshell, just what do you mean?
The New World Order is an elite political notion of a multinational running of the world. So rather than having wars, you have negotiation. But they need everyone on board.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering what you were meaning when you were saying
Yeah.
New World Order.
And, you know, not everyone is ready to be on board, but especially, you know, their way. So some of them, you know, there's thousands of people in that arena. I mean, I'm reading a book on fascism with a woman who was working under Bill Clinton. It's a brilliant book, but I can see, like, you know, she's very smart and she's passionate about democracy, but she's maybe, you know, they can tend to be kind of a bit like stooges for politics. I mean, that's not what's meaningful for people's lives. you know, and these people, that it is their life and all that kind of thing. So, but it's a bigger conversation. I found a lot of things, and you know, even within that New World Order thing, you're gonna get differences in opinion. You know, you got, yeah. So it's a fantasy, and the other side is the right wing side. Your Trumps and that.
There's no right wing, left wing, it's all the same thing.
Exactly.
So
Well,
yeah,
not
no,
exactly.
Well, there really is. It's just
It's more like teams.
no, it's all illusory. It's the same people controlling both
Exactly.
sides.
No,
Exactly.
no, this is what I found.
No, but
you
it
have
absolutely
two
is.
power brokers.
No, you don't. It's the same power broker, and they're putting
I'm
two
telling
sides
you,
against.
I'm
each
telling
other.
you, I found
Well, I
two power
I
brokers,
disagree.
and they don't like each other. They
Well,
go
no,
against each
okay,
other.
I disagree.
That's cool. But anyway, I want to show you this video, and when I saw this video, I thought this video was very powerful. And what I got told, and what I realised, this is a spell. This is a spell of what's been trying to happen. So this Armageddon thing, all this destruction, it's a spell. Which is why people need to move away from this idea of the world's going down this rabbit hole. It will go down the rabbit hole if people believe it enough. This is why you see some conspiracy stuff is real and good quality, and other of it's just injecting all this shit, and which has truth to it, but injecting it in such a way that it's creating a world.
So through that fear,
It's feeding it. It's like literally feeding it. It's like the devil doing its dance. It's not trying to hide.
But this is where the spiritual aspect comes out. That there are people in the world who want to invoke fear in the population because it feeds into the system they're trying to create. They need the fear to feed that system.
And let's look at one of the spells, because this is quite brilliant. It's done. Huddle in if you want. It's worth it.
Hang on.
Have you got some? Oh, I don't think we do.
What is this?
This is an animation done by some company. It's called iPet Goat 2. It's a spell. It's showing you what's going on, and by doing that, it's feeding a creation of this scenario, which is very destructive as you'll see it unfold.
Like an Alice in Wonderland.
There's the Twin Towers. There's the Muslim world. The Egyptian, and it's Jesus. the futility of the activist movement. That was a phallus. So she's in the tower of the phallus. The female. So yeah, I thought that was really impressive originally, and in a way it is.
Interpret it, please.
Watch it a few times, and you'll come up with your own interpretation. And you can jump online and find you can find people talking about it or whatever.
Could you say it's painting a scenario as a warning to us?
It's painting a scenario that's a warning.
It's ridiculous programming. It's
But
just
it's-
telling us what they're going to do. We're doing this to you suckers, and you're believing us. This is what we're doing.
It kind of
Universal law.
taps
We have to
into
tell
everything
you
that's going on.
the
And
horrors that we're doing, but then we're still laughing at you because you're too stupid and we're going to do it anyway. So basically just rubbing your face with everything they do.
yeah, it's painting and all this kind of thing, but you know, there is no set picture for this. You know, nothing is determined, predetermined. Certainly things will happen, but why buy into how something is going to play out? You know, just because it could. You know, the idea is, let's sort things out, and who knows what's going to happen.
It's the collective choice which makes that decision. And so that's why we need more and more of this information to get out, because we don't need 50% of the population to come on board to create this change. We only need, according to information I work with, only 0.5%. Right? And we haven't reached that yet. But
you don't even need that. If you had 10% of society doing stuff, it creates a huge amount of change.
well, I'm talking about 0.5%.
Oh, 0.5%.
Yeah. Okay.
We only need 0.5%.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's other figures flashed around.
Yeah, sure.
But the point is, an awakened being can balance out the energy of 100,000 people that are not awake. That's one of the theories behind that. Yeah.
Well, put it this way, that it's the hero thing again. So if one person becomes initiated, they can help others. You know, like, yeah. You know, I'm trying to help people, I can help people. Eventually you'll be able to help people. And I think it kind of works like that. It's exponential.
Yeah.
But it is about helping.
So anything going to happen with this Monday, Tuesday, or whatever day you've
Yeah.
decided?
So I'll talk to the library, but it's probably best to start next year.
And then how we know about your progress? Have you got like an email list or?
You can grab
something?
my number on Facebook,
Yeah.
because you wanna, and I don't mind meeting up with people.
Oh, if you've got an email address, because I personally hate.
Yeah,
I want to minimise my facepalm time, so.
yeah. Rock out.
Yep.
It's a bit daggy, it's not.
Rock out. Yep.
OM, and then OM
Yep.
at
Yep.
gmail.com.
Yep.
And the phone number is 042.
042. Yep.
Yeah, 396.
I've mentioned it before,
Yeah.
but Gmail's a real big problem
3699.
for us.
But it's too late in the game now to change.
So is it rock out?